Our last session for Thailand Focus 2021 will be Accelerating Sustainable Investing in Thai Capital Market, in which we will highlight the accelerated trend of sustainability post-COVID-19 and the roles of public and supporting institutions in the ESG ecosystem. If you have any questions again for this session, you may submit to us by scanning the QR code on screen. We are honored to have Dr. Srikanya Yathip, Secretary General of Thailand's Government Pension Fund, Dr. Kongkrapan Intarajang, CEO of Piti Global Chemical, and Dr. Piti Tantakasem, Chief Executive Officer of TMBThanachart Bank. The session will be moderated by Ms. Pimpan Diskul Ayudhya, Vice President of the Stock Exchange of Thailand. Dr. Srikanya Yathip was appointed Secretary General in 2020. She is at the forefront of responsible investing in Thailand and introduced her vision that GPF should become the leader in ESG investing and initiatives in Thailand. Moving GPF ahead towards SDG, she has initiated the revision of strategic asset allocation of GPF to include both an investment paradigm shift and SDG compliance. Her current project, through cooperation with the UN financial initiatives, is developing the Human Rights Heat Map and Common Human Rights Integration Framework for the Thai capital market. Dr. Kongkrapan Intarajang has more than 25 years of experience in the global petrochemical and nature-based chemical arenas. His areas of expertise include overseeing corporate strategy, business development, corporate finance, and investor relations. On international relations, currently he is the co-chair of the France-Thailand Business Forum, or FTBF. In his capacity, he leads and promotes economic collaboration between Thailand and France. Dr. Piti Tantakasem has over 25 years of professional experiences in the financial industry. He has been actively involved in the Thai banking industry with diverse experiences including investment banking, commercial and SME banking, retail banking, capital markets, and risk management.
Swadika. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Well, welcome to the last session of Thailand Focus. It is truly a great opportunity to be here at the time when the Thai capital market strives to become stronger and more resilient than ever. And in doing so, the focus on environmental, social, governance, or ESG issues is of utmost importance. With the climate change and the COVID-19 pandemic, we all know that sustainability has become the major theme for investment. And at SET, we aim to become sustainable capital market that can provide a strong foundation for Thai economy, helping to drive quality business and investment. And last year, 124 listed companies were qualified for Thailand's Sustainability Investment List, or THSI, accounting for 69% of the total market capitalization. 7 Thai listed companies were chosen as DJSI's industry leaders, and Thai listed companies outperformed their ASEAN peers when benchmarked against global sustainability indices such as DJSI, FTSE for Good, and MSCI ESG. And in this session, it's about accelerating sustainable investment in Thai capital market. And we have here 3 very prominent leaders from 3 sectors in the Thai market. And over the next 45 minutes, we'll try to provide insights into new trends, business practices, and how to create more sustainable businesses in Thailand. Well, first, I would like to start with Dr. Srikanya Yathip, Secretary General of Government Pension Fund of Thailand, or GPF. Dr. Srikanya, as an institutional investor, how important is ESG when it comes to making investment? And what are some of the key insights that you look into when considering investing in companies with regards to sustainable business practices? And do companies that give importance to ESG integration generally perform better than those that do not? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Stock Exchange of Thailand, for having me for such a very important session. I presume that you have like a 3 questions in one go, right? So I try to do my best to answer all the questions. Government Pension Fund of Thailand, as you know, we are investor. As an investor, we only care about 2 things really: risks and return, and that's period. You have risks and you have return. Full stop. That's it. The interesting things about ESG factor is that they can be either your risk or a return generator. A company with great ESG story can bring in good alpha, but once a bad story of ESG leaks out, the same company becomes your risk. See, so there's a risk and return that we care about. One same company doesn't guarantee that it's gonna bring you good alpha as always. So there's still argument on the causation effect of ESG investing and alpha generating. I can assure you that there is a relationship effect between the two. If not on the side of the generating alpha, it is so sure on the side of taking away your alpha if the company you are investing had bad ESG story. And that's my first rationale on the importance of ESG. So it can be either your risk, it can be either your return generating, alpha generating, I mean. My second rationale on the importance is based on how you see yourself. For government pension fund, we see ourselves as an institutional investor. We investing nearly $33 billion globally. So we can't ignore the fact that our association with what economists call externality is so huge. Things like carbon emission are free for the emitter, but would be very costly to the wider society, for example. So making money from pricing externality is a matter of identifying which one will lead to action and which one won't. And there's still a gray area on this issue. But as an investor, you can't turn your eyes away from them simply because they are not clear or not the immediate threat or risk. And here comes the term universal owner, which institutional investors take into seriously. That name, the name, the universal owner, they used to name for naming the investor who by nature of the business is expected to address and manage those externalities that I mentioned earlier, while active ownership, seeking to influence public policy, and using an investment strategy that influenced by ESG consideration. So to put everything into one sentence, my second rationale on the importance of ESG is we must also consider ourselves as a universal owner who is obliged to manage those externalities which are associated with our investing business. And that is what often quoted that we have to do well by doing good and do it together. The last point regarding the importance of ESG that I like to mention is that ESG investing is just the beginning, in my opinion. What I would like to propose that we discuss for next year, 2022 Thailand Focus, is impact investing. The topic I humbly propose because I see that if we can join hands together on creating investment environment that deliver both the mainstream return and positive impact, that would be great for the world and society, and definitely Thailand. So for your second and third question regarding how do I see the insight when considering sustainable business or that we are investing out, and how do we see that whether ESG generating good performance than other company or not? So first, let me tell you one thing that we believe. We believe that there is no one size fit all when it comes to ESG investing. Having said so, we may conclude that just partly that there is no such a thing like insight. I like to say there is no such thing like insight, but there is a simple thing, we call it process. If we put in place all necessary process to make sure that we do due diligence right, we engage right, we ask the right question, and we got the answer to those questions. So standardized process in line with global standards such as OECD, PRI are the first thing you must consider. Second to that is to keep reading and tracking on what's happening in company you are investing. In so doing, I can assure you that you can smell something fishy if something is wrong. That's the little trick that I like to share. My experience is the tone from the top is the most important. Try to have a chance to talk to the top, the one who make policy decision. You would know and feel if the company is the real on ESG or just a window dressing. To your second question, whether company that give importance to ESG perform better than other company or not, I would say that in long term they will, but in short term maybe they don't. Some company might not be able to do so, but in long term definitely they would be able to generate better alpha. Having said so, I don't mean that so, because some company for short term they might not generate you good alpha, so we don't need to be serious about ESG. That's not the point. You have to also think about the issue from another angle. If a company fails to comply to ESG good practices, the value of the company can go from something to nothing. And I have it here in my presentation that Enron is a sample in case of this point. So thank you. I think I answer all your three questions in one go, right, Kun Namwan?
Thank you very much. That's very interesting, and it shows that ESG is more fundamental for long-term growth here. Now that we heard from the institutional investor, let's hear from a company's point of view. We have here Dr. Kongkrapan Intarajang, CEO of PTT Global Chemical. PTTGC is one of the largest companies in the market and one that is known for exceptional ESG performance, including top DJSI scores. So could you please share with us how you have advanced GC towards this new sustainable business practices? If you could please walk us through how GC has transformed its business operations. As I imagine it must be very difficult to get all levels of employees on board, and as well as to get the entire value chain to move along this new path. And if I may add another question to that, how ESG has helped to your business growth, resilience, and maybe also as well as attracting investors. Thank you.
Thank you, Kun Namwan. Yeah, actually, it's a journey, right? But before we started the journey, the most important thing is that we understand what ESG means, right? And what does it do to our company, to the whole scheme of things. And with the understanding, I think you create belief in the organization. Belief is very important because it sets everyone's mindset, right, to follow the same line, to have the same belief and same practices. After that we formulate the strategy, right? And with our strategy, we kind of incorporated the element of sustainability in every aspect of our strategy. Let me show you the presentation a little bit, and then you can understand a bit better. Okay, so basically when we formulate our strategy, right, we look at resilience, growth, all kinds of key indicators that everyone has been doing. But move to the next page, please. Yeah, this is quite fresh because we have revised this about a few weeks ago. But basically we have three pillars of strategy. One we call step change, basically increase our competitiveness and resilience, and step out, which is about our growth, and step up, which integrates sustainability in every aspect of our business. Now we used to have three pillars running in parallel. This year we underline our importance, the importance of sustainability as the underlying principle of everything we do, right? So it kind of lies beneath everything. And in sustainability, we improve or enhance our target and practices. In the past, we used to say that everything we do, growth, business, and everything, sustainability is part of our business. Now we have a clear target of what we can achieve by doing sustainability. Right? Our motto, the motto of our company has always been chemistry for better living. Now, how do you measure better living, right? So one of the key measurements that we committed already is to have net zero by 2050, which is quite challenging for our kind of business. And to do that, we have two drivers or two key actions. One is circular economy. The circular economy practices have been done throughout our history of the company, and it has been quite successful. We have used circular economy concept to do everything about our business, but now there are a new factor to be introduced to our business is to a pathway to net zero, right? How to do decarbonization, and by doing both, we have good practices and good targets to measure. And if you move to the next page, please. This is quite important, right? When we, I think our company, every company can look at the same concept. We have to balance, right? We can't be purely environmentalist without looking at our stakeholders, our shareholders. So when we do everything about our planning, about strategy, profitability have to be balanced with sustainability, and everyone have different aspects to balance it. In our example, we are committing to a 4% annual growth on EBITDA and about a long-term EBITDA margin of 13%. But at the same time, we are committing to a sustainability issue like net zero by 2050. And also we have many criteria for investment. So basically, when you look at your investment, your competitiveness and everything, you have to consider all these in parallel and together, right? We may want to expand into certain projects and certain investment, but if it won't be sustainable, it creates more issues to the environment, to the climate, we probably won't do it. So it narrows down our space a little bit, but we believe it's a sustainable way, a sustainable pathway to move forward. So I think that's maybe describing a little bit on our journey, right? From the past where sustainability, okay, is a concept in practice, but now it's part of our strategy. It's also part of our everyday practices. And to your last question, Khun Wan, about how difficult to get everyone's buy-ins and all that, I think it's not really noticeable if you are doing it every day, right? In every aspect of your business, in your planning, in your strategy. So by committing to net zero, we almost haven't noticed a drastic change because we have to do it anyway. We just have clearer target and everyone has always been on board. But I think it's probably better for everyone to have much clearer target and something to look forward to. So, we have everyone committed and it's so, I don't want to say it's not difficult, but if you do it step by step and you have the belief and the understanding, I think it's not that difficult.
Well, thank you very much. I think just like Dr. Srikanya mentioned earlier a little bit about tone at the top, it's quite clear here at GC too that the tone at the top is very clear, and that ESG is being clearly integrated into your strategy, and even more importantly, in the KPIs and measurement, and well communicated throughout the organization. That's probably one of the key success factors in embedding it in the whole organization. Thank you very much for the comprehensive elaboration. Now to Kun Piti, Tantakasem, CEO of TMBThanachart Bank, or TTB Bank. As one of Thailand's leading banks, play a role in sustainable banking, and the first one to issue green bond 3 years ago. Well, please share with us the progress of moving towards sustainable banking, and also how much ESG is being integrated in TTB strategies and also investment practices.
ครับขอบคุณครับ thank you ครับ thank you SET for inviting me today. Seems like I'm the only rookie in this panel because the rest are the real expert. So maybe starting with the question on this one, that why this topic is so important. Maybe I would like to invite everyone to go back in time, looking at a more mature market like US, right? Look back in time for 125 years when Dow Jones Index was created. Back then there are 12 companies and becoming 30 companies now. Till today, none of them from the original 12 companies survive until today. Why it turns out like that? Why those big companies from the past cannot sustain through times? If we look back, few were broken into smaller pieces because of antitrust. Government cannot trust them, people cannot trust them. Some are taken over, and many become less relevant to the point that they cannot make it to the top 30. So the key question is, how can we become a truly sustainable company? And I think to become a truly sustainable company, there are several aspects that the board or top management must carefully consider. Maybe we will start from thinking about the primary goal or primary objective of our company. Is it to maximize shareholder profit or shareholder value? If not, then should our primary goal be to deliver relevant and meaningful things or product to our stakeholders, no matter what that things may be? If yes, how can we be certain that we have clear purpose? Like Dr. Kongkrapan said, clear purpose is very important because it would be like a guiding star for the whole organization. With that clear purpose, what would be our strategy to continue or to become more and more relevant each day, not less, for our stakeholder? Then based on such fact, becoming such a sustainable company must be starting point where come to formulating our business strategy. We must ask ourselves, what is the ultimate purpose of our company? What value we can create to our customer, our employees, or our society where we operate in? In short, how can we become more and more relevant or stay relevant? At TTB, we start from looking at other people in Thailand and other people internationally. We look at TTT, we look at SCG, we look at other banks, and we look at framework provided by DJSI, Fair Finance. I think that is a good place to start with because it will provide you a very powerful and comprehensive framework. However, after you learn all that, you must come up with your own version of being a sustainable company, your own framework of ESG. And I would like to walk you through the page that just show on the screen. This very simple two-dimensional framework is very easy way to follow, right? If you have that two axes, one axis is about things that are important for your companies, and the other axis is about things that very important to your stakeholder. You identify you prioritize, you validate, and then you continuously review. Then you would see things that you must pursue, you must continue to improve. At TT, we use this framework, we find that our purpose is to improve our customer financial well-being, because what very important for the bank, yes, of course, to make profit, but to make profit must not come with the expense of society or make our customer life getting worse and worse, right? For retail customer, financial well-being means they know how to properly use banking product, they know how to spend properly, borrow properly, and when come to protection or investment for their future, they know how to do that. Then it would be our jobs to make simple products, affordable products. We must provide to them financial literacy. This is very important. Today, Thai people retire without adequate saving. When they are sick or pass away, they don't have enough protection and become a burden to those who they left behind. They overborrow, as we banks only promote them on spending and ensure that if they want to spend more, we give them more, to the point that they cannot return the money and become a consumer debt crisis that government or regulators so worry about. For corporate, how come that 1 of 2 SME went out of business every year, and 9 out of 10 cannot survive within 5 years? Then what would be a sustainable bank mean? Is that our job to make Thai people have a better life? Is that our job to make company and particularly SME know how to survive, both during the good time and bad time? So I think we have to think differently, act differently in order to stay relevant and become more relevant each day. And I think that is the key for any company to become a more sustainable organization. That is my take.
Well, thank you. I think it's very interesting to hear from all of you about balancing and aligning between profitabilities and sustainabilities, aligning profitabilities and well-being of all stakeholders. And very interestingly, Dr. Piti, about being able to stay relevant to the rapidly changing world. And that would ensure, let's say, not just survival, but long-term sustainability, sustainabilities of the companies. Well, for the next round of question, as we already talked about ESG investment and how can we better integrate ESG into our business practices, maybe now let's talk a bit about ESG data. I think we all see the importance of ESG data, but if you all could please share with us why ESG disclosure is important now, what values does it have for investors as well as listed companies. Anyone, please feel free to help me with this question.
Okay, maybe I can start this one. I believe that you cannot improve what you cannot measure, right? And human benefit a lot from the Egyptian, Greek, and Roman Empire because they wrote a lot of things for us to learn. And I think sustainability is a long-term journey, as many already said. Putting down into a report help us improve. ESG report is of similarity to any other subject. Without writing it down, track it, report it, we ourselves cannot advance our own learning. We cannot help others to take shortcut so that they can learn from us. So sustainability report is not for show off. It is clearly for your own benefit or other to benefit from it, from years of experience that you have been learning. Again, investors do not want to invest in a short life or short-sighted company. Good investors want to invest in a company with right purpose, company that will stay relevant. So I think sustainability report will be one of the key tools that would allow stakeholder or investor to see your company more clearly from the aspect that we discuss here.
Great, thank you.
Yes. Maybe I add on Dr. Piti. I agree with his point, and on top of that, I think transparency is very important in these days, business and everything, and to do good disclosure on sustainability, I think is vital for all stakeholders, not just investor, not just shareholders, but all the relevant stakeholders, including our employees, customers, and all that. Why? Because everyone has to understand the pathway that we are going forward, right? And just give you an example. Now we're running a global company, right? And for investors worldwide to make a commitment, they need to understand that we are relevant, and we also take this issue on hand, right? And we know what we're doing. And the example I just gave earlier, we made a commitment on net zero by 2050. We might not be the first chemical company to announce that, right? But when we announce that, we know what we want to do, and we know that we can achieve it, because we don't want to leave a legacy to our next generation to do it, because by that time I'll be gone, right? But anyway, so we in the disclosure, not just to let everyone know that what we want to do and all that, but to share is very important, because climate issue and all these other issues, I think if every company or most companies or most organizations can do or can learn, I think it's good to share, and we cannot be successful by doing this alone, right? I think everyone has to believe and commit to do it, and then so in our disclosure, it will be very transparent, and even competitors can learn what we can do, because it will be good for everyone anyway.
Yes, and thank you, Dr. Srikanya, if you could please.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Piti and Dr. Kongkrapan. I fully agree with you that data is very important in terms of transparency that you just mentioned. Transparency, disclosure, and something that you have to be able to measure, otherwise you would not know what it's all about. I would like to add one element when you talk about investor. As an investor, definitely we agree that transparency is important, sharing is very important regarding the data, but we have another factors when we do investing. We do compare, we compare company by company. Yes, company A is good in this data disclosure, whatever they are doing, but then we need to compare that company with another company. So what I like to put it here is that in principle, investor heavily rely on the quality of data input. That's whole true for ESG investing. And actually, I want to congratulate the Stock Exchange of Thailand for initiating the concept of one report. That's very interesting. That's very good. Definitely, it is good. It's good. But the demand for ESG data that drive corporate disclosure for ESG performance, that's not the end of story. Once you have the data, that's not finished yet for investor. All data had to be comprehensive and comparable. Comparable is very important. Comparable in our context means across countries, industry, firm, and everything just like that. Then we would understand how the performance of each company is relative to other companies. I'd like to mention one thing, which are our headache right now. The business of an ESG data provider, each data provider, they gather data, they access this and score the company according to the ESG credential, that what you can call it disclosure. And they are using their own sourcing process, their own research methodology, their own scoring models. As a result, the rating of one company, a single company, can vary extensively across different providers. I come up with a study of State Street, one of the world's largest servicer and manager of institutional investor. State Street had examined cross-sectional correlation of 4 leading data provider of ESG score using the MSCI World Index as a corporate universe. The study conclude that rating of companies are only consistent for about half of the universe. That's a challenge for investors like us, and also challenge for policymakers, so challenge for Stock Exchange of Thailand, how to move next from one report. Imagine, for example, how can GPF, which we plan to achieve perhaps net zero portfolio by 2050 in accordance to the Paris Agreement, how can we develop a truly carbon sensitive portfolio if we don't know for sure which company that is on track to reduce the carbon emission in the future in comparative to other companies? This is just to name a few quantifiable E factor. I mean, E is easily quantifiable. But if you talk about S or G factors, which are more qualitative in nature, things would be more complicated and the discussion would go no end. So my observation for this point is just, I like to conclude it just few sentences. What I would like to say that getting and having comparable material easy data is a challenge. It's not a dead-end struggle. It's difficult, but it's not a dead-end struggle. As long as the industry, the policy maker, and us here, we continue this evolution, finally, I believe, real easy data quality is on the way. And it's just a journey. I believe it's a journey. I think Dr. Piti or maybe Dr. Kongkrapan said the name journey. I believe in journey. It's a journey. And we are in the journey together. And I like to say that together we can, and together we will achieve good data that we can compare and make investment decisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I also believe it can be done. And it's very interesting point here that if we can work together to overcome this challenge, then we can, I'm sure it will help speed up on accelerating the sustainable investing in the Thai capital market. And hopefully next year we will have more to talk about ESG data and disclosure. Well, there is one question coming in asking Dr. Kongkrapan PTTGC about PTTGC plan to achieve net zero target by 2050. So if you can give us a maybe an overview of your roadmap towards that goal.
Okay, we'll do. Thank you. We have interim measurement. Our peak emission year, base year would be 2020, and by 2030 we will reduce the greenhouse gas emission by 20% and net zero by 2050, and that's on scope 2 and 3. We will also commit on scope 3 for 50%. Anyway, to achieve it, we can do it in three measures. One is according to our operation, things like efficiency improvement, new technology, enhancing fuel efficiency and all that. That we probably can achieve about 1/4 of the reduction. And another part that we would do would be to adjust our portfolio. As recently we acquired Alnex, and it's a low carbon products, right? So basically we will adjust our portfolio, and that will help us around 1/3 of the reduction, and the rest we will do it by compensation, by carbon capture, by many other things. So and there are many details in it that we can disclose.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, and before we end the session, I think we still have a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes for each of you to please say a few things about what do you see the future of ESG in the Thai capital market. Can we start with Khun Piti, please?
Sure. I strongly believe that the trend is gaining good momentum, maybe thanks to the interest from investment community like GPF and session like the one that we have right now. I think once the ripple effect begins, ESG will become a new minimum standard. But may I suggest that firm must do it because you really believe in it, and do it as an in process, not add on to what you are doing. CSR is a part of ESG, but don't confuse between the two, right? Otherwise, it will be another burden to your already busy job. It must be in process. It must be built to the core to your business strategy. So may I suggest that always start from the core, make it a part of your business strategy, make it in process, not add-on. And I believe that becoming a sustainable company will make your company becomes a purposeful organization, will add meaning to your job, to your employee works, will benefit your stakeholders, and most important of all, it will make our world become a better place to live. That's what I believe.
Thank you. Dr. Srikanya, please.
You know what, I don't have anything to add because Dr. Piti already said everything so perfect. So I really love in the word he said, in process. This is something really meaningful, very important. You have to have them in process, not to make it your burden. So I only have one observation that the future of ESG in Thai capital market would be better, promising, and moving into the same direction. That's how I see it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Kongkrapan.
ครับ, and first of all, I'd like to commend SET, right, for putting a lot of emphasis and focus on ESG issues and encourage a lot of listed companies to participate and excel in this. So Stock Exchange of Thailand have this unique position. I think Dr. Piti and Dr. Srikanya have spoken very well, and I want to add one last thing is that we should see the ESG or sustainability or environmental net zero, all this as opportunities rather than a threat, right? It should not be a burden. We shouldn't take our action because it gives you license to operate, but rather see opportunities, right? For your customers to have the comfort of dealing with you. For employees, right? You have this new generation to work and they really select the companies, right? Based on certain belief in ESG. So make it as opportunities, and every company has different aspects. So you have to create your own view of opportunities. But as we have been doing, we believe this is good opportunities to excel your companies. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much to all of our esteemed panelists. Having listened to all of your valuable insights, now I think we can rest assured that the Thai capital market is on a very solid path to quality growth, with listed companies and businesses looking into the right direction to ESG to enhance business opportunities and international competitiveness, while balancing environmental, social, and governance priorities. And with this, the capital market would truly be able to bring along all stakeholders and leave no one behind. And with that, I would like to close this session. Thank you very much.
สวัสดีครับ